Yeah, we put in work and here's the proof. What you want?
I'm making moves, punching in.
I'm on it too.
I'm in the gym.
I'm in the stew.
It's hunting season.
Where's the food?
We push each other daily, level up.
Cause that's what brothers do.
Clock in.
Yes, sir. Episode 10.
Hey, this is a special one, man.
Yes, sir.
This is a special one. This is the one I've been waiting to do since when we announced we were going to do a podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
For those of you who don't know, we haven't had a guest live yet, and that was by design. We wanted to have our two brothers on as guests before we have anyone else on, and we figured it was only right. So I'll let them introduce themselves, and we can go ahead and just get it going, man. So right here, we have the oldest Hamilton brother. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Shout out to the Clock In family. My name is Walt Hamilton. I'm the oldest of the four brothers.
Yes, sir. And we got the second oldest.
What's up, fellas? We got it's B Ham, aka Brandon,
AKA B Weezy.
B
B
Weezy,
Wade.
aka Blake Bompson,
Oh, wow.
Clay Thompson. That's my man.
Blade.
Blake
Never heard of
Bompson.
that one.
Okay.
You heard of that one, Walt?
Absolutely not.
I'm the shooter of the family, so I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Allegedly.
Hey, we're all shooters though. At the end of the day, but
That's a fact.
yeah. If you played against us, you know that.
You already hit.
But we don't need to get into that. That's not the here nor there.
Yeah, the resume speaks for itself. But look, man, special time to have y'all on here, man. This is the older half of the Hamilton brothers. So we got the 80s Hamilton brothers, and we got the 90s Hamilton
Yes,
brothers.
sir.
And we got some funny stories that we might get into today. But for those of you who follow all of us on the our individual Instagram platforms, we just made a big announcement, and this is something that's been in the works for years. For years. When I graduated high school, we had a little graduation kind of ceremony thing at church, and they asked me what I wanted to do after school, and I didn't really have any idea, to be honest. But the first thing that came to me was, I want to start a basketball training business with my brothers. And I had never thought about it, right? So I knew at that moment that it was a God-given thought. And the announcement we made earlier this week was that we just launched our company, The Goods Basketball LLC. So this is just a perfect time, man, to have y'all on. So again, appreciate y'all taking the time. Y'all have kids, y'all got other things going on. And we just want people to kind of understand where this all started individually and as a family. So Austin, I'll let you kind of talk about what you're excited about, man. Since, you're part of this.
Definitely. Always, excited to have, my two older brothers on, man, because I wouldn't be who I am as a man first, as a ball player, now as a father, without these two. They set a high standard for me, and I'm honored to be your guys' little brother, man. And for real, man, you guys have been with me through it all, man. So love y'all and appreciate y'all for coming on, man.
Likewise.
So,
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you guys for having us on. Appreciate what you guys are doing with this Clock In movement. It's really taking off, and I know you guys have great things in store. This is only the beginning, so
Yes, sir.
we're all here. We're all in it together.
Yep.
Supporting each other. So shout out to our family, to our mom and dad. For instilling this type of mindset in us to think outside the box, not just be pillars of just working for somebody for 25 years, but giving us the idea of business and creativity to venture into what God has kind of called us to do. So I appreciate you guys for this platform that you guys have, and you guys are inspiring me and my wife to Clock In, as well as many others. So
that's what it's
appreciate
about,
that, man. That's love.
Yeah.
That's love. BM, anything you want to touch
Yeah,
on
I mean-
any shout outs before we get into it?
Well, first of all, shout out to my beautiful family. Shout out to Molly, my lovely wife of now 5 years, which is crazy to
Yeah,
say.
that's crazy.
man.
Shout out to my wife Brittany too, man, and the kids, London and Sydney.
Yep. Outside of Molly, shout out to my oldest, Reagan Nicole Simone. Then I have the middle boy, Nicholas Vaughn, and then we got Skylar
Big
Rose.
Skylar, man.
Skylar Rose. Yeah, she's
She's a trip, bro.
Yeah.
She's a trip.
yeah. So shout out to my family and shout out to Mom, Dad, Maria.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of our immediate family. And one thing I'll say is, you know, definitely super proud of you guys and what you guys are putting together with the Clock In movement. You know, it's always humbling and exciting to see, you know, you guys as younger brothers, you know, exceed what we're doing at, you know, right now. And so, you know, excited for what's about to come with the goods and,
Yeah.
you know, just like you said, our mission, our movement is all about people and adding value to others. And so, you know, we're excited to get this started.
Absolutely.
Let's get it, man.
Speaking of family, though, just wanted to go on a personal note. So my son turned 1 today, actually. Turned 1 today. And we had a family get together, and you know all you guys were there.
Yeah.
So appreciate you guys for coming by with that, man. We had an awesome time.
Great time, man. Always a good time.
Dad and Mom were in their bag dancing. Dad, yeah, he's. People don't know, like, Dad is hilarious, dog.
He's
He's so
freaking
funny.
Yes.
He's so funny, man. Like, you see him as this pastor. He's always cool, calm, collected. But yeah, when that dude, when he's having fun, man, he's a character.
Yeah,
man.
he is.
Very much so.
He's a Kappa too. Obviously, you guys know that, but the Kappa definitely comes out sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And
No
we
doubt.
get to see that, man. But yeah, it was a blessing, man, to have all you guys there and support of Ryder and my son and his mom. But yeah, we had a great time, man. So appreciate y'all for coming.
Absolutely.
Everyone shouted out their kids, man. I don't got it. Shout out to
Take your
y'all
time,
for
dog.
shout out to y'all for the practice.
Yeah, take your time, man.
Yeah, man.
Talking about practice? Not a game. I ain't in the game, Champ. I'm talking about practice right now. I'm talking about practice, dog. Appreciate y'all for giving me some practice, man. Give me some reps in before I have my own. But look, want to get into, our story, man, because a lot of people, they see us play together, whether it's just 2 of us, all of us, 3 of us, whatever the case is. And this isn't, us bragging, but people are always like, man, all y'all can hoop. Like, that's y'all brother, and then that's your brother too, and you too, and like, yeah, man, like all of us. It's funnier when people see it after we play together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like they didn't know going into it, and then afterwards they're like, oh man, it all makes sense now. All y'all can shoot, dribble, or whatever, but they don't understand or know our own individual and collective journeys that it took for us to get to where we got and to where we're going, on and off the court. And we really clocked in. Like, that's not even some cliche. Like, we really had to clock in together and individually. So we wanted to kind of go in order of each of us kind of telling our own individual story about what it took for us to kind of go through the hills and valleys through basketball and life to get to where we got to, for that individual level for the game, and then how we all kind of tie together and how the goods came about. So Walt, man, I want to hear your story, man. I feel like for me, I think yours is the most inspirational.
Yeah,
and I'll
sure.
hear, and you'll understand why, after we kind of hear you tell it. But you're the oldest. You were the one who really got us going, because Dad didn't hoop, my mom didn't hoop, no one in our family
I was
hoops.
gonna ask that, like, where did the love come from? Like, where did it start? When did it start?
Yeah.
Because like you just said, like, Dad, he ran track, he played semi-pro football, but like, he obviously liked basketball, but the love didn't come from him. It came from you. So
He didn't push you to hoop either.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a good way
he
to
probably
kind of
pushed you guys to
segue.
play baseball more than anything.
Yeah, fact.
Yeah.
But you guys were nice at baseball. But yeah, man, where did it start? And you know, how did it develop from there?
Yeah, I would say it started probably when I was young. One thing, even though Dad was not a quote unquote basketball player, he always watched sports.
Mm-hmm.
So the affinity for sports was always there.
Yeah.
I would say probably when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, I remember watching. He would have some friends over, and they would watch old games of the Celtics and Lakers, Pistons, 76ers at that time. Like in that heyday, in that era in like the 80s, you know, the top teams at that time were Celtics, Lakers. That rivalry, I mean, it speaks for itself.
Historic.
You had actually the Wizards. I mean, which were back then they were called the Bullets.
Mm-hmm.
They had some pretty good teams in that era. Dr. J and the same Sixers team with Charles Barkley, Mo Cheeks, Moses Malone. So I always had a love and passion for basketball, but my first love, I would say, you know, the first sport that I was introduced to as a kid was baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball was not as easy as basketball was to me, and I think what really drew me to basketball, especially when I got into elementary school, was when I would go out recess and I played basketball, and you know, there were kids that had been playing a lot longer or started a lot longer than I did, but you know, just going on like the park and going outside on blacktop at like 7, 8 years old. I was killing those kids.
This is the Meadows.
This is in the Meadows.
Yeah.
This
Shout
is
out to the Meadows, man.
This is at Center Ridge High School, Center Ridge Elementary. Now I'll say this: what really got me into basketball a lot more was playing in the Meadows against older people. Like we played against older kids, adults at times, and as I got older, by the time I want to say 11, this is probably our last year in Centerville, and was outside playing with a good friend of mine at the time, Charlie Carter. Shout out to Charlie, man. He had an older brother, Cliff, who could hoop. So Cliff would tell us to come out and play because Charlie could also ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, man, like playing with Cliff's older friends, and then there's some older guys that played. And I always remember, like during like the summertime, like we played 3 sports a day. We played baseball, played football, and then we would end the day.
We
would end the day hooping,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to be in by the time the streetlights came on.
Right.
That's not a cliche. Like that's an actual fact.
Yeah.
Like had to be in by the time the streetlights came on.
Right.
So normally Dad would get home around that time, and where the entrance to where we lived at, there was a court right there, so he could see me playing and finish up the game. So sometimes, you know, I would, you know, kind of venture over
Mm-hmm.
and just ride with him, or I'd run home as he was driving up, just to make sure that I was able to beat the streetlights.
Right.
Now, as we got older, Brandon came about when I was 4 years old. He was a really good baseball player. He probably should have kept playing. I think he was a really good hitter.
Brandon could have been like a little Frank Thomas.
Yeah, he could have been
Powerful, man.
a little Cecil Fielder, you know, a little
He would have
Prince
been a
Fielder.
great first baseman.
Speaking of Cecil Fielder, y'all remember the haircut? Did Dad give us that?
Dad used to cut our hair, man.
Yeah.
You see Walt's lineup now. It didn't always look like that.
None of ours look
No.
like that.
It didn't always
Remember,
look like that.
we look like Toad from Mario Kart.
Yeah,
That's
look,
exactly what we look like.
that inspired me to go to the barbershop.
man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Shout out to Nintendo, man.
Yeah, fact.
But you know, it's kind of interesting, man, because you know, as we moved from Centerville to Herndon, I would say my first real experience with trying to make a team was going into the 8th grade, trying out for this travel team that I looked at those kids and I was way better than, and I think the only reason why I got cut is because, you know, growing up, this being in Herndon now, like you kind of see how things kind of develop. Like they kind of know who they want to groom
Right.
as they move on. And honestly, if I had stayed in Centerville, things would have been a whole lot differently.
Absolutely.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, I was
For all of us.
fact.
Especially the older, for
Facts.
y'all.
You know, but you know, not being able to really showcase and display who I was as a player, even going through my high school years, I got better. There were certain things that I could have done maybe a little bit differently that I might have been naive to.
Like what kind of things?
Like I would say, like understanding, like being more assertive about going to workouts, or trying to make sure that I was on certain teams. See, a lot of these kids had their parents to kind of fight for them for that, so they were able to get spots. Now, I'm not saying that some of those kids were not talented, but a lot of those kids weren't. They weren't better than me.
Political game, man.
So that's what I learned. I learned what politics was when we moved to Herndon. Now, do I have any regrets? No, I don't. There's no reason to be bitter about how my high school career went. From the time I was in ninth grade, freshman team, then trying to make varsity. When Herndon had a really, really good team in '99, and they were like number one in the state. Even going to my senior year, I had a chance to make the team, but I was told that it's a good chance I wouldn't play a whole lot. So I probably should have still stuck with that, but at that time I was young, and I felt a little bit of anger at the fact that I know I'm better than majority of these kids, and when I played outside of Herndon,
The structure,
and played against other kids from Oakton, South Lake, Chantilly, T.C. Williams, I was killing them.
They're all like, "Why aren't you on the team?"
Or I was just as good, or I was holding my own. And they're like, "Why aren't you playing at Herndon?"
Right.
Now I did have an opportunity to transfer to Potomac Falls. This is something that a lot of people do not know. And play with one of my best friends, Jordan Grantham at the time.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Jordan, man.
Shout out to Jordan and his family. Shout out to Demario McCleary. Played a little bit of AU for his dad. So I had a chance to really, lock in and be on that backcourt between me and me and Demario, and there are times where I think, man, I wonder if I would have made that opportunity to transition from Herndon to Potomac Falls, like what would have been. But I don't know that we would be here today,
Right.
Having this conversation. So I'm thankful for my time at Herndon, through the good and the bad. I did go through a lot of adversity. We ended up going to college.
Can I pause you real quick?
Sure.
This is to take a pivot, because what I want people to understand is a lot of y'all are on teams, and because you're not getting the playing time or you're not getting the touches, y'all quit. And then y'all say y'all love the game. Nah, y'all don't freaking love the game. One thing he didn't say is he never stopped playing.
I was gonna say
He played in house.
MVP.
Killed in house league.
MVP, dog.
Right?
Come on.
Killed in house league every year. And then his senior year, when he didn't make the varsity or decide not to go out to varsity, we have a travel league out here. They don't have the 17 and unders anymore, but back when he played, basically all the best players who didn't play on the high school team, for whatever reason, it wasn't always talent, they played in this league. And he got MVP.
There were Division I players in that league. From what I remember,
There was good bump.
was it Cross? Was it Bailey's Cross?
Bailey's Crossroad.
There was a Lake Braddock team.
Lake Braddock had
It was-
a good little mob.
So there was actually 3 kids
We
out
gotta
of
find
that.
footage, dog.
It was 3 kids out of that league, and for some of them, it could have been grades, could have been behavior. I mean, or they could, they might have felt very similar to my situation where the coach don't like me. I never felt like Coach Hall had anything against me. It's just timing at times. But I'll say this: I know 3 of those kids went on to play Division I ball.
Yeah.
They went the JUCO route. Everybody's journey is differently, right? So that's one thing about basketball and about sports in general. Like whether you play baseball, there's a certain path that everybody takes to get to that road. Some people's road is pretty clear. Top player in high school, top player in college, on to the pros or playing overseas. There's other people that have to take the road less traveled in order to get to where they want to go. But the whole thing is they don't quit, and you can't quit. If it's something that you really care about, you're not gonna let naysayers decide your fate for you.
No.
You're gonna take the with of course with God at the forefront.
Right.
You want to take things into your own hands. And dictate your own path, your own journey. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, because I want
Nah,
want people to act like
Yeah.
he just got cut
Glad you said that.
and then didn't.
No.
Nah, like
He still
he's
played.
always hooped, and he's always been the best player in whatever league he was in or whatever competitive situation. So, like again, he could have easily blamed the coach, blamed the system, blamed the politics, and said, "I'm done with hooping." But this is why I'm saying, like, I think your story, and you're going to talk more about it, but the most inspirational for me because you had to figure this crap out on your own. Yeah. And dad wasn't pushing you, mom wasn't pushing you, they encouraged you, but you had so many opportunities to say, man, forget this, man. I'm done playing, like I'm going to just go do whatever. But you kept figuring out a way to play, and I think it's better that you played in that travel league and destroyed everybody versus making the team and then having to fight for time.
If Walt was in this era right now and he still had that film, he would have played in college
easily.
Yeah,
easily.
And I'll say this, I still ended up having an opportunity to play in college. I ended up going to Grambling State and literally walked onto the team at walk-on tryouts. And Jordan can talk about this. I had a 103 temperature fever.
You had a corona before the corona.
Yeah, that's a fact. But
that joint been in Louisiana for a minute.
Yeah, that was COVID-2.
Right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
We were graduated to COVID-19 17 years later.
I had to throw that in there.
But it's kind of interesting, man. Like I'm in tryouts. It's like 75 kids you try out. I'm feeling the worst that I could possibly feel.
This is the Walt flu game.
Yes, sir.
This is the Walt flu week. So literally in tryouts, the coaches know, they kind of know who I am because I've been going to pick up, been doing weights with them, even played in a couple scrimmages. We actually played in a scrimmage against, I want to say, Texas and TJ Ford at the time. So but again, I'm not officially on the team yet. But 60 kids that try out, and I'm so determined to make this team. Like at Grambling State, which is a Division I school, played in the SWAC conference. Had some really good talent from all over the country that played there. And here I am, a kid from Northern Virginia, who out of the 60 make it to the last 3. And then I get a call that they wanted me to come out to practice, and then so I go out there. They end up choosing a big kid, which I get. He was 6'8", 6'9", came from
that's always tough.
So when you're a 5'10" guard, it's kind of dime a dozen.
Yeah, there's plenty of
But
those.
It was a good opportunity, man. I did work with them a little bit. With Coach Wright was the coach at the time, and Coach Sykes. Had a good talk with him afterwards. But my point is, and even after I left Grambling and transferred to North Carolina A&T, Aggie Pride all day,
Yes, sir.
man. Which was a great decision for me. Got me into coaching, which is what I do now. I'm currently the head varsity girls coach at Virginia Academy in Ashburn, Virginia.
Yeah, man. Talk that talk. Talk that talk.
And that's been a long time coming too. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah,
talking about that.
But that's
that
the
journey.
beauty. That's the beauty of this journey, man.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it. And keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll sum up, man. My story, it's just I use all of my situations, everything that I went through, because like you said, like mom and dad, they were naive to AAU basketball, to what it took to get to that level, like putting me in the right camps, or putting me in a situation like all the kids that I went to, I found out on my own.
The George Mason, I remember.
George Mason,
James
I'm the one that
Madison.
filled out information for that. JMU, I went to a couple other camps locally, and I held my own. Like no matter where I played, like I had guys, from that I used to play with at Worldgate that are older guys now that were taking me out to the run and shoot. You know, I think it's called Cowboys Sportsplex now.
It'll always be run and shoot.
Yeah, but it'll always be the run and
Out of
shoot.
PG County.
Yeah, out in Capitol Heights, and I would play there every Saturday morning, man. And, you know, I ended up playing with some NBA guys at the time, like Chris Whitney, Steve Francis, Walt Williams, Moochie Norris, as well as some other guys. You know, I was able to be a part of that private run and hold my own. You know, so, you know, I've always gotten respect wherever I played at. But the one thing I never did is I never let my situation affect what Brandon, Marshall, and Austin were going to go through. Because if I'm bitter, then I'm setting a bad trend for my brothers moving up the line. And I never wanted to do that. Whatever I went through was what I went through. But I was going to make sure that y'all were not going to go through the same situation.
Yep.
So, you know, that's why I always try to, you know, and that's why I think y'all, you know, call me sometimes another father at times, because I'm always, you know, giving you guys advice, you know, even when you probably don't want to hear it. Or, you know, just kind of preparing you for what you could expect, you know. So, I mean, I've never stopped that. I even do that now with the kids I've coached.
With us.
Yeah.
What you mean? Eh?
That's a
They
fact.
never stop. Man.
So, you know, I appreciate, you know, this opportunity, because, you know, I don't look at this as being my story or something that, you know, it's nothing for anybody to feel sorry for me about. You know, it's my testimony.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm thankful for it. You know, I can say that now. I couldn't say that maybe when I was younger.
Yeah.
You know, because I felt like, you know, I still had a lot to give to like the game, and I even still had 2 or 3 overseas tryouts from people who saw me play and say, "Yo, I want you to come to this tryout."
Mm-hmm.
You know, had an ABA look, which, you know, a team that I actually made, but it just wasn't able to do it just because of the schedule. But, you know, again, man, like, I thank God for this opportunity to kind of share the story. And, you know, I'm thankful for the goods and what we're going to do, because it's going to be another Walt Hamilton that will make it. There's going to be another Austin Hamilton that will make it. A Brandon Hamilton with his story that will make it. Another Marshall Hamilton who went through knee injury, came back, played at a high level, and right now could easily play pro ball.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know,
What?
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's keep it going.
I'm Roz, man. Like, your progression, Marshall, man, from where you were as far as your mindset, that we were trying to get you to understand how good you were back then. You know, sometimes, you know, this is something that I have to tell kids, man. Like, you can either learn from others or you can learn from life. Life teaches much harder lessons. So sometimes you got to figure it out on your own. Even though people are telling you, you know, that you can do it, or that, you know, that they're supportive of you, if you don't believe it yourself,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes you having to go through certain situations in order for you to, you know, understand what people were saying about you
Yep.
3-4 years ago, or 4-5. You know, it doesn't matter the actual time span.
Right.
But what does matter is, you know, do you eventually get it?
Right.
You know, so, you know.
Yeah, I'll definitely get into that, man, when I
Yeah,
get to
I was
my
gonna say,
story.
yeah.
And look, just to like kind of sum up what he talked about, this is someone who did not play one game of varsity, one game of college, but is a head high school coach at a private school. So that, I mean, come on. And he didn't even get into everything just for the sake of time. We're gonna have them on again, but his own that was just his playing journey. For him to get from where he is today as a coach is a whole nother podcast. So look, man, appreciate you sharing that, man. Like I said, man, I always have been an inspiration. You're the one who started all this.
Yep.
You're the one who started all this, and it's not going to end with you or with us, is what I mean. It's going to be extended through this platform. So, Brandon, man, you know, love to have you share your story, man, because it's another one that's just one of perseverance, man. So, floor is yours, man.
Yeah. I mean, Walter said it best, man. You know, growing up, we just were sports junkies. You know, always joke that we didn't have an alarm clock. You know, our alarm clock was ESPN on the TV, you know, 24/7. And so, you know, just to kind of add what Walt was saying, you know, we grew up, we weren't basketball. We didn't even play basketball. Our first love was baseball. And, you know, I remember back in the day, Dad used to coach us and was actually an exceptional coach.
Yeah.
He was amazing. And so, you know, he used to just, you know, our love of just the game and just sports in general got us to, you know, become better players and become better people. And so I remember when Walt, I was probably 4 or 5 at the time. And, you know, as I was playing baseball, I remember going to that court because it was like down on the ramp and it was in the cut in the trees.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, I was the one that had to yell Walt, like, Walt, this is time for dinner. Like, it's time to go.
Yeah.
But, you know, it kind of, I guess it sparked that hope in me. It was like, wow, this is pretty cool. But you seeing him, you know, go at these older men and older teenagers. And, you know, it kind of, I guess, brought that light as far as what basketball can do. And so, like they said, I was really good at baseball. I remember going from I played from first to about 3rd grade. Ended up making a bunch of all-star teams. I remember, and like I said, not trying to toot my own horn, and Dad can vouch for it.
Pod, man. Come on.
Hey, all right, let's toot it.
Get it, man.
I remember this one time, Dad can vouch for it. It was a home run derby, and each
Yeah, I was there for that.
player got 20 pitches. And out of the 20 pitches, I hit 15 out of 20
Sheesh.
home runs.
Let's get it. Let's
So,
get it. Let's
you
go.
know,
Let's keep it going.
Baseball came natural to me. I would say sports in general just automatically comes natural to me because I have kind
That's
of
true.
You're not bad at anything.
Your brain's good at everything. Everything you do.
You can
like-
pick up something quick just by looking at it on TV, and then he'll just be able to duplicate it. But
Right.
Yeah, I would say it's a God-given talent. You know, I've been blessed with the ability to have that ability. But, you know, fast forward, once we moved from Centerville to Herndon, I was in the 4th grade, and that whole year, I didn't play any sports at all. You know, I actually took a year off and was just kind of, you know, trying to build friendships and get used to the area. And it wasn't until 5th grade when I actually started playing house league.
yeah,
And it was I ended up playing for the Lakers.
yeah, Chris Canoisen in there.
Chris Canoisen.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to
That's a throwback.
actually Nick Leach, Coach
Nick
Leach.
Yeah,
That's a
You know, he was a
throwback.
coach.
Was Paco on that team?
Paco was not on that team.
Okay.
He was on. I think we didn't end up playing until
Like 8th
travel.
grade, Yeah.
And so, yeah, my first year ended up, you know, we finished out like in the middle of the pack. But we went on those, I don't know if you remember the Yukon runs with,
yeah.
you know, Kimber Walker, and we were like a 8 seed, but then we ended up just going on a run. Chris Canoisen,
He could shoot
myself.
that thing.
Yeah, he was like a mini Steve Kerr.
Yeah,
Yo,
he was.
Shout out to Chris Canoisen, man. I don't know where you are, but
Yeah.
He started playing golf.
He's actually a
That's
great
true,
golfer.
yeah. I
Yeah,
remember
we
that.
ended up
Are you still in
graduating
contact
together.
with him?
No, I haven't spoken to him recently, but I
Yeah.
remember that's the last time I've heard of
He
him.
was like a little Steve Kerr type.
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
He shoot it.
he had a little ratchet. But yeah, ended up we made a little run in the playoffs and ended up going to the championship and we won it. So outside of that, made the All-Star team. So mind you, this was in my first year ever playing basketball.
Yeah, I remember.
And
y'all won the championship.
won the championship. And honestly, the only way I learned basketball was through Walt and just kind of watching games from time to time. So I think that initial just accomplishment kind of sparked the idea of like, okay, well, this might be something I can actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went from after the house league, ended up going to travel, you know, for since this is kind of a national pod, the way travel is kind of like, you know, you have your middle school teams in like North Carolina and things of that nature. And so these are guys all across the county and in the area. And so first time I tried out, I did not make the A team, ended up making the B team. But throughout those times, you know, I would always learn and hone my skill sets of like, okay, even though I didn't make the B team, how did I get better? Like, what are the things that I need to do to get to that next level?
Wow.
And so, fast forward from travel, went from, middle school, playing travel, and going to high school, ended up, playing freshman, had a good career.
You started on freshman.
I would start from time to time.
Okay.
It wasn't until my sophomore year when I really, understood what it took to put the work in.
Yeah.
And that was when I turned 15. I remember, Uncle Jerome, he was actually living with us at the time.
Rest in peace, man.
R.I.P. to Uncle Jay. But I remember him, he was a phenomenal athlete as well. I remember him telling me that, once you turn 15, 16, you really need to get into the weight room.
Yeah.
And so, just like Walter said, I used to learn all the stuff, even though he had some setbacks. I had to identify, okay, even though this didn't happen to him, how can I get to the point where I can't let that happen to me? So my sophomore year, ended up running miles and would hit the weight room. And my sophomore year ended up starting, and I probably played at least, the whole time, the whole season. It was me and Meso. Shout out to Meso.
Yeah, man.
Another Hamilton.
I don't really remember you ever coming out the game for real. Who was your backup point guard?
You couldn't.
Sean Gallahan. Gala.
No wonder you still. I don't think. Sorry, Gallahan, but I don't.
Sean's my boy. He was a great backup point guard. Had some handle, but at the same time, it was one of those things where I just had to learn and learn. Having a setback going into my junior year, I thought I was good enough to make varsity, which I felt like I was.
You definitely were.
And unfortunately, I ended up, instead of playing varsity my junior year, I had to actually take a step back and play JV my sophomore year.
No, I gotta.
Your junior year.
Yeah, as a
My junior
year.
year.
Now I'm gonna stop there because, I don't want to. I'm not gonna call out Dad, but Dad, stepped in and was frustrated, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Ended up talking to Coach Hall at the time, and he gave him some words. But my question for you is, did you ever have a conversation with Dad, to let him know, like, hey, like, this is tough, but I'm gonna get through this. Did you ever have that conversation?
We did have the conversation. I pretty much told him that I have to kind of, set my own path, like Walt said. It was one of those things where, as much as it stunk, I still wanted to continue to play basketball. Keeping it 100, it was probably one of the lowest points of my basketball career. And so knowing that I could have been on varsity and did not make it for some obvious political reasons, let's call it what it is, I still had to take it on the chin and say, hey, look, I'm still going to play. I'm still going to get a year in, and then next year, put more work in and end up making varsity. And so, to make the long story short, going to my senior year, I decided to play football. And what was cool...
Wait, hold on. What was... Wait, can you tell him what position you went out for?
Ended up going for quarterback.
He's never played organized football in his life.
This
Never
is how you
organized.
know. That's what I'm telling Brandon.
His level of confidence,
Yeah.
but also his ability to just pick up
and adapt, yeah.
and adapt that quickly is
like
phenomenal.
One of the most complicated cerebral positions in sports is a quarterback.
That's like you trying out for varsity basketball and saying, I'm going to run the point.
Exactly.
You've never played
Literally.
organized basketball
Literally.
ever. And you're like, I'm going to run the
I
point.
was gonna be a quarterback because I saw Uncle Rico throw the ball over the mountains, something like that.
For sure. I didn't see it that way. I'm a very confident person.
Yeah, I respect
And
that.
so, if you can see me throw the ball,
you had an arm though.
Nah, Brandon was a good quarterback.
You understand
it
that?
wasn't like he wasn't good. It's just the fact that was the first thing that he went for. I respect it, man.
Yeah, but I ended up since I didn't play quarterback, I switched to wide receiver, and that position just came natural to me. And it was a phenomenal experience. But what that did was that prepared me for basketball, because when I had pads on for literally 3 to 4 months, It helped me get faster. Helped me with my fast twitch muscles. I got, my stamina more explosive. And so going into my senior year, ended up making the team. But, unfortunately, we were, one thing I'll say about 04, we were probably the top team in the state of Virginia. And so, we had, myself, Meso ended up playing D2, Brad Farrell ended up playing D1, Scotty Reynolds, who was an All-American. Shout out to Scotty. Shout out to all those guys.
Russell Watts.
Russell Watts was 6'7".
Could have played in college if you wanted.
Could have played in college. So we had a squad, and so we were so stacked. It was just hard for Hall to fit all the pieces together. And so our senior year, unfortunately, we lost in the regional semis to our rival, South Lakes, at Mason. So that's one memory that I'll never forget.
That's one of the best teams I've ever seen.
Yeah. And so they had a little.
I'm sorry, the 03 team with Ricky and them. That team was Doug McLaughlin.
Yep. That following year, South Lakes.
Forget South Lakes, man.
Yeah, but that South Lakes, that 03 team still does not compare to that 99 team that went to the state championship game.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get some other guys on the pod.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure guys like Dustin and Duke Cooper and Dustin Halinga, I think they would.
They'd have a ball with that.
Yeah, they both lost in the state finals, which is crazy.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
Speaking of
you're
that,
right.
though, it's a perfect plug for the Nova Basketball Tournament 2021 coming soon.
Yes, sir.
TV, yep.
We'll keep y'all posted on that.
TBT, Nova TBT.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Go ahead,
But
B.
go back to it, B.
Yeah. So from my senior year going to, I graduated high school, ended up, I was trying to play in college, but unfortunately I had no offers because, it was challenging to get PT. But I still loved the game of basketball. So it was just one thing that was in my heart. I knew I could play at the college level. And so the only school that I honestly applied for was North Carolina A&T. So ended up attending college with my older brother, which was honestly the best 2 years of my life. Like I said, we'll have to have another pod when it comes to college stories. But for the sake of time,
Shout out to A&T, man.
Yes.
No, your wives don't need to hear. Your wives don't want to hear those stories.
Yeah.
Shout out to the executive team too.
Yes.
That's got to be an exclusive pod.
Yes.
You got to pay money for that.
Exclusively on Tidal or something.
Right.
Patreon.
Absolutely. So, going into my freshman year, I ended up, I remember Walt and I went to the coach's office and we asked if they had, any walk-on tryouts, and unfortunately he said no. So, that whole year, just like you were talking about, even though we did not play for a team, we were in the gym pretty much every week. They have an auxiliary gym called Moore Gym, and keep it in 100, there were some guys that were playing in that gym that should have been on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of athletes.
Oh yeah,
a lot of talented players.
Absolutely. And so, we ended up playing intramural ball, and that was playing intramural ball back in that day kind of, gradually got my confidence. There's one story in particular where Walt and I, we came back from Thanksgiving break, and we ended up we played in the championship game, and ended up hurting my hand. That's another story for another day.
Wait.
That story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So hold on. I think can we tell that now, or we're gonna wait?
Nah,
it's waiting for the sake of time.
Yeah. That'll open up a whole another can of worms.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, man.
So the whole time, before I was telling Walt before the game, I'm like, man, I don't know if I can shoot. Something happened. My hand was feeling funny.
He knows exactly what happened to that hand. No, we're not gonna go there.
Not yet.
But during the game, as athletes, you guys know, when adrenaline hits you, you just don't feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that first half, Walt can tell you, I probably hit at least 7-8 threes, just right off the break.
Yeah, and they went off in that first half. He probably had at least close to 30 in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very high scoring game against some really talented guys. Some guys that played for A&T.
Yep.
Some guys that just graduated from the actual team as well. So you had guys that used to play for the team, You had guys that had just graduated from the team that were ringers,
Yep.
and we give them the business. And it's kind of interesting because, again, this goes back to Brandon's confidence. And, he didn't allow his shooting hand, which was bandaged up a little bit, to stop him from accomplishing what he felt like he could do. I mean, when Brandon gets hot, he can shoot from anywhere.
Yep.
He's going up. So.
What's the nickname you call yourself?
Blade Blomson.
Blade Bomb.
When Brandon gets hot, man, Blade Blomson's activated for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know about that Blade Bronson
Yeah, I
stuff.
don't know what that is, but
Y'all gonna catch on.
Hey guys, thanks for clocking in with us and making it this far into the episode. We want to continue these episodes for as long as possible, but we might need your help. If you click on the description on each episode, you'll find a link that reads support this podcast. If you enjoy keeping up with us, click on that link and you can make a monthly donation. All right, you guys hear enough of me talking anyways, so let's get back into the episode.
But yeah, so we went on to that, and I ended up going, actually, fast forward, ended up going to A&T for 2 years, but it was one of those things where basketball was just still in my heart. And so after that semester was over, ended up talking to one of our trainers back in the day, and I asked him, what are my options? And he was like, man, you should go the JUCO route. Just try it out. So ended up trying out for three schools. One was in Tennessee. Another one was in, I believe, like Utah. And then my last tryout was actually out in the Richmond area, and it was for a school in Baltimore called Essex College. So I remember Dad drove me to the tryout, and one thing about trying out, all the guys just want to show off and do whatever they wanted to do, break you guys, just kind of be selfish on the basketball court.
Right.
And so I think what separated myself when Coach Bird saw me was that, I was scoring, but at the same time, I saw the whole floor. I was getting everyone involved. I was rebounding. I wasn't worrying about myself. So that was my actually last option to play for a team. So if that didn't work out, I was going back to A&T.
Mm-hmm.
So, I remember Coach Bird, he called my name and said, hey, I like what I see. How would you like to play for my school? So it was at that moment, I had that my dream came true of playing college basketball. And so for the sake of time, ended up playing my freshman year, ended up broke my foot, came back, and my freshman year there was not the way I wanted it to, but once again, it was at that time I still worked on my game and do what I needed to do to get better and stronger and faster. And this is actually going to relate to your guys' story. While I was in college, these guys were actually in middle school and high school.
Mm-hmm.
So that hard work of being a college athlete and waking up at 6 in the morning and getting in the weight room, I was instilling that into these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So they already had the mindset of, okay, if this is where you guys want to go, this is what it's going to take.
Yeah.
So it's either going to make you or break you.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't break them, and I mean that's why they're phenomenal athletes today. But my second year was actually the year where B Wade came into play.
Yeah.
That dude
And so
went on a Dame Lillard bubble run, dog.
Really did go on a Dame Lillard bubble run.
absolutely. And so my last story before I let you guys share was going into my second year. It was one of those things where basketball is a game about confidence and belief, like Walt said.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first couple of games ended up probably scoring about 10, 13 points. And I remember playing this team in New Jersey, and one of the things that my coach was saying was like, look, you already have it in you. Just go off. Because, funny story, he was actually, the last game only scored 5 points, and we were driving home. And he actually kind of fried me. He was like, man, you playing like garbage, B. I'm going to be honest with you. He was like, you know what? You're not even playing like garbage. You know the juice that's in the garbage? He's like, you playing like garbage juice.
Call you till you feel like
So, but as a competitor,
He looked like Tommy from Harden too. By
shout out to Coach Bird, shout out to Coach Fox as
the way.
well.
He was good, man.
But-
He could hoop too.
Yeah, he was nice.
Yeah.
You know, playing at Morgan State. But after that game, ended up playing in Jersey, and I remember praying. I'm like, look, God, just give me the confidence to just play well and do what I need to do for our team to get a win. And after that game, I ended up scoring 27 points, and I think that was my career high in just college and just high school in general. But after that game, that just sparked the dog.
Yeah, click.
Dog in me to where it's like, wow, if I can do this, who knows what can happen. So after that game, I ended up scoring 34. Then another game I had 38. Another one I had probably 40. And after that, it just kind of continued to build my confidence. Yeah. And honestly, that's what sparked just the mindset of like, no one can guard me. Yeah. And having that confidence just on and off the basketball court is something important to have. And
in life, not just on the basketball court, man.
Yeah, in life, and the more confidence you have, man, the more belief that you have as a basketball player, and that's pretty much my story. On the college realm, and now we have this brand, the Goods, and honestly, my goal is to build that belief, not only just on the basketball court, but outside as well.
Exactly.
And the more confidence that a lot of these kids have. And just kind of letting them know that, look, you got what it takes. Just once you figure that out, it opens up so many doors. So
absolutely. Yeah,
appreciate you sharing, man. I mean, there's a lot that we could dissect. And one thing that I'll say as I transition into my story is, Walt was a lot older. He's 9 years older than me, so I didn't see his grind. I saw Brandon's.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Brandon's, and I'm definitely gonna get emotional. I'm not even gonna try to hold it back because there's just a lot of things that you guys instilled into me and things that I went through that it's just gonna be tough not to get emotional about. So going into my story, man, my love for the game really started with Walt. We used to have these things in the living room. Called Coach Hamilton's Camp. Yeah. Walt's sick, first of all, for this. And that's how
I knew he was going to be a coach.
Exactly. He's been coaching for a minute. He had us doing rapid
fire. He's like 15, running his own camp.
Running his own camp with us. We're doing defensive slides, ball handling drills. We used to have the hoop that we would put on the dresser, and we used to play 21. Brandon and I would play one-on-one. And stuff like that. But that's where it started, man. And I was a natural when it came to basketball. For some reason, I always had the ability to dribble. Since a youngin', I've always been able to dribble. Mm-hmm. And I want to say around 5 is when I really started to develop that love. But I played baseball first because that's what my dad put us into. They're laughing because I was by far the worst baseball player in the family.
That's a fact.
Here's why though. I've had 80/20 vision since I was 5 years old.
Dude couldn't see a thing.
I couldn't see a thing.
Because he used to be in front of the TV screen 2 inches away watching Kobe.
I wasn't trying to miss nothing.
Yeah, watching Kobe.
I wasn't trying to miss any details. I was trying to get the HD.
Man, you got it.
Yeah, my eyesight definitely was in high definition. But I played baseball for 2 years, but like them, man, I was always playing at recess, playing with older kids. Older kids would always pick me up at recess, and I would go to their games. One of the things I used to love to do, every timeout, halftime, I'm on the court shooting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every single time. You could not. The referee would have to throw me off the court basically.
Yeah.
So around 9, and Austin was 7 because we're 2 years apart. Actually, I was 8 and he was 6 when the league started. My dad signed us up for Reston Youth Club Summer League, which is legendary league, man, at Stonegate, which is the Berry Farms, Rucker Park of this area.
That's a fact.
and a lot of history there. And Austin and I, we have a great relationship now. Back then, we were either best friends or we were fighting, right? And we had never really played together ever, like on a team type of setting.
No.
So our first game, we're playing against the commissioner's team. They're like like freaking Hoosiers, Hickory type team.
This is our first time ever playing.
First time ever playing organized basketball.
Yeah.
Walt and Brandon are there. My mom is there. Obviously, my dad is there. And we got destroyed. Me and him were arguing the whole game. These two were yelling at us. My mom's yelling at them for yelling at us. She's yelling at my dad for not yelling at them.
Yep.
And our first game was a disaster.
Now,
First game was a disaster.
now, was Dad the coach?
He was like an assistant.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Shout out to Coach Ship, man.
Yeah,
Coach
Alex
Tony
Ship.
Ship.
Yeah.
Shout out to Coach Ship. A1 Cycling was a team.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys brought up, that one moment where you started to get some confidence, and we were playing against Ray Waddell's team. I forgot what they're called, but Ray Waddell's team.
They're green.
Green.
We were green too.
No,
though.
we were gray.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
The year after we
Yeah.
were green.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was a close game. Shout out to Nicole Brown. She was the only female on the team.
Oh,
She actually ended up playing at a high level too.
Yeah.
She used to talk crazy.
Yeah.
Her
Wow,
brother
I
Nick
forgot
Brown
about
from
that.
Heritage out of Leesburg.
Wow.
See, it wasn't a co-ed league, but she was good for a girl, so
Yeah.
she was on the team. She was talking crazy to me the whole game, and y'all know me. When I get mad is when I really start to hoop. And I just went off on like a
Walt
tear.
too.
I went off on a tear in the second half, and then with like 3 seconds left, I hit the game tying mid-range shot to send it into overtime. I don't know if y'all remember
Yeah, I
that.
think so.
Yeah.
Was it a regular season?
It was regular season, yeah. This is like
Yeah.
our second or third game because we
Yeah.
smacked the next game. We destroyed them, and then our third game was against them, and they were like undefeated.
They were sick too.
Yeah.
Hit that joint, and I just remember holding the follow through.
The moniker.
Holding the follow through. and
Monica,
then,
right?
I end up we go in overtime. I end up hitting another clutch shot to win, and after that we went on like a winning streak.
Yep.
I can't remember losing after. And if we did lose, because we weren't.
We
there.
lost to one game. We lost one game after because Alex Ship was like on vacation.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
that,
But we get to the playoffs and we play that same team first round.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a crazy close game, man. I think we were down for a good amount of it. And I ended up going off again. You had a good game. I had 18 that game.
Wait, you remember how many points you had?
Yeah, I remember, dog. I
He
had
remembers
18.
everything,
I
man.
remember
Yeah.
everything.
One thing
dog.
about Marshall, he has an elephant memory, man.
Yeah,
It's
like,
crazy.
I had 18. That's
That's
the game
crazy.
that
I don't
Dad
remember any of that.
Dad and Coach Waddell almost
Got
into a
into
fight.
Yeah. Almost came to blows. I mean,
And then and here's the crazy thing: this championship game, we played the team we played the first game where we got smacked. The commissioner's team.
Do you remember? Wasn't it Comcast?
Nah, they were Cardinal Bank.
Yeah,
They're
you're right.
Cardinal.
Man, you
You're
don't
right.
sound like Mighty
You're right.
Ducks, man.
Yeah, they're Cardinal, man. So they end up.
right.
We end up another close game. I had 20.
Of course, you remember that.
I remember that. And
You gonna remember that 20 piece?
I remember that 20-piece nugget. And we ended up winning the championship against a team that we got smacked against the first game of the
Well, it
season,
was
first
like-
game ever.
It was like when LeBron and Wade first teamed up, like they,
Right. There wasn't the chemistry.
Yeah, the chemistry wasn't there.
This guy compared himself
You know,
to LeBron.
um,
Unbelievable.
But we just had to figure it
Yeah,
out.
figure it out, dog.
So who was LeBron? Who was LeBron?
You were definitely LeBron. I don't want to be LeBron. I was D-Wade for sure.
That's another. That's another.
But
time.
yeah, so
Yeah, I
just to
don't
fast
get
forward
lost.
into that section, man. I end up we end up winning championship. I ended up getting offensive player of the year, and I made the All-Star team. We both did. So then going into that next grade, dog, we used to have show and tell, right? I brought all my freaking trophies. Confidence is on an all-time high.
1,000.
First league ever, win the championship. That's like a theme in our family, actually. Now I think about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the next year I played travel, and this is where confidence comes in. For me, man, I've always had the ability and the work ethic, but when I went to that next level, I had to start mentally. For me, it was like I started from zero, getting confidence wise, and to the point where Coach Passmore, my travel coach, one game in tryouts I was killing, practice I was killing, but in the game, I didn't have the confidence to apply all that you guys were teaching me when I was working on. And like after the third game, he was like, "Look, man, you're the best player on this team. Like I need you to, start playing like it, basically." And I had a good game after that, but my biggest challenge was emotional stability. When things were going well, I was great. When things weren't going well, it was a disaster. And honestly, that's just how I was as a person at that point in my life. So, I go through my travel career, had some good moments. Our team wasn't the best. I mean, no disrespect to, the coach. He wasn't the greatest coach in the world as far as like player development, but it was a good experience for me. Ended up playing AAU with Virginia Vipers, one of the best AAU programs at that time. But honestly, I didn't earn that spot. Austin got put on a team because he actually earned it. And he'll talk about that probably. And it was one of those things where my dad was like, "Look, I want my other son to play AAU. Like, what do y'all have?" And they kind of added me to this team. And this team was freaking stacked. Like, I'm in 7th grade. I'm like 5'1.5". Our point guard was 5'11". Our shooting guard was 5'10". The 3 was 6'2". Our 4 and 5 were 6'5". In freaking 7th grade.
That team was huge, bro.
Yeah.
And these are guys that are going to private school like, DeMatha, O'Connell. And it was good for me because, it made me compete. But again, my confidence wasn't there yet because I didn't feel like I really belonged there. Right? So going into 9th grade, one of the things that we learned through their experiences is we got to start going to all the camps, like the Herndon basketball camps. So the coach knows us, kind of puts us on their list early. So I would always do well there. Competition wasn't like amazing, but it was good enough. So that 8th grade camp, I destroy everybody. Coach Hall pulls me aside and is like, "Look, I think you can start on the JV team." And it was scary to me, man. Honestly, it was exciting. I felt good about it. But again, because my confidence hasn't caught up with my ability, it just was kind of like terrifying for me. So I ended up playing freshman. He didn't even have me try out for JV. I think he knew he probably isn't ready for this yet. On freshman, shout out to Coach G. I started, but I was an emotional roller coaster, man. So there were times where the backup point guard would play more than me. He wasn't better than me, but he was a steady Freddie guy. Like he was like TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That type of player. So I go into my JV year. I have a kind of up and down freshman year. And, that's when I really started to put in like that work. Now, if I really I'll take a step back because we were training with Marlo at Worldgate. When I started, it was probably 7th, 8th grade. And I wanted to take a step back because that's when Brandon would wake us up at like 6:30 in the morning and get us to the gym. And Marlo's training started at 9. So we would get there at like 6:30 because he had to work. So that's the only time he could work this out. We freaking hated it. Like, we'd be punching our pillow. We hated it. And he'd tell us, "One day you're going to thank me.
Yeah, get up, man.
One day you're going to thank me." So that started in 7th grade. And continued on, up until probably like my sophomore year. So get to my JV year and playing in a fall league, and I had like 15 points. First fall league game. The same JV coach that coached Brandon, and he tells me after the game, "You're either gonna start or you're gonna be the last player on the bench." I'm like, "What?"
Who said that?
Coach S. That's what he said to me after the game. He's like, "You did well offensively, but I didn't like this. You're either going to start or you're going to be at the end of the bench." I've never heard that before. So I didn't play a lot that year. There were some freshmen that came in. Shout out to Randall and Chris Hightower, who were more physically developed. I was like 5'6", skinny kid, had skill, but that was one of the worst years I've ever had. That was a low point because he beat me down. Like, if I did anything well, he didn't say anything. As soon as I did something wrong, he was on me the whole time. He mentally beat me down. I was at a low point. But, you know, what I remembered, man, and this is where, you know, I might get emotional. The year after, or the summer going into my junior year, I remember my dad was like, you know, Brandon went through this situation. You know, when he got put on JV as a junior, and he was like, you know, just be prepared, man. You might be put on JV. And one thing about me is I'm a fighter, man. And I remember driving with my dad to, and I think Austin may have been with us. I remember driving to
Take your time, man.
to the gym when Brandon got out of his tryout. And I'm expecting him to say, like, yo, I made the team. And I never forget his face when he came out the locker room. And I'll never forget him crying at home, man. And with Walt, with everything Walt went through, that whole year, man, I'm like, I gotta break this curse, man. And everything that they had put into me, it was like, I can't let them down. So that whole year, man, that whole summer, Brandon was going into his college career. Austin was going into his freshman year. I tell you, I worked the hardest I ever freaking worked in my life.
Yeah, I remember. Fact.
I had friends telling me I'm not gonna make the team. I had people who you know, they would clown me about not playing on JV. And I outworked everybody, man. And here's the thing, man. Sometimes your work ethic has to outwork your confidence, and that's exactly what happened with me. I ended up barely making the team. Thankfully, I don't know if it was, I think it was God, because the coach that cut Brandon and Walt as juniors,
It was God.
he left, and Coach Whelan comes in, and shout out to Coach Whelan, man. I get emotional talking about him too, because, you know, he was the first person outside of my family who really, you know, saw something in me, and said I could play college ball. But as a junior, man, I was honestly, I was happy to make the team, and I thought I was just as talented or just as good as some of the people playing in front of me, but I was just happy to be there. But at the same time, I was a competitor, so it wasn't like I was loafing or whatever in practice or anything. But I didn't play one game that year, man. Not one single game my junior year. But it built confidence that I kind of broke that family curse. Like, you know, I made varsity as a junior. Fast forward to the next year, again, worked my tail off because, you know, my mom and dad told me straight up, man, like, we're not going to have the money to pay for college. This is right in the middle of a recession, or before the beginning of the recession. So I'm thinking, like, I got to get a scholarship, man. Have a decent summer. Austin's on playing varsity summer league with me as a rising sophomore. And we get to the beginning of the regular season, and Austin is starting over me. I'm the senior. He's a sophomore. He's starting over me. And I never was jealous, man. I was happy to be playing with him again. And I worked my tail off throughout that year. I wasn't the most consistent, you know, as far as stats or whatever. But just to, again, be quick with this. Austin ends up, somehow, I think this was definitely God too. He shuts his finger into our door when we're about to drive to Richmond for a Christmas tournament and breaks off his fingernail. He's out for the tournament.
One of the most painful
I remember
experiences ever. Freak accident. Still don't know how I did it, but
I don't either. But he,
man. Yeah, that was.
He's
I'm
out.
so mad, man.
He's out for the tournament, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm definitely gonna start now.
Yeah.
Get to the starting lineup, I'm not in it. I feel mad disrespected. We end up, there's a game that ends up coming down to the wire, and I ended up playing a lot in the second half. I take the game-winning shot, miss it, get cussed out for taking the shot. I'm pissed. Next practice, best practice I've ever had. He starts me the next game. Have 20 points. First game ever started.
Mm-hmm. Did Ray come to that game?
I don't know if Ray was there. Next game I had 15, but because I only played like 10 minutes the first game, I had like 4 points. If I would have played the first game, I would have been all tournament. But that built my confidence. And if you would have been healthy, there's no way I have those games.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, I kind of worked myself into the starting lineup. We have a really good run, and you know, I get some good film. And coach said, "Look, man, I think you can play in college." Brandon filmed the whole season, so shout out to him. And we sent some tape to some Division III schools, Virginia Wesleyan, Averett, Shenandoah, Greensboro, Ferrum reached out, and I visited in Hood College. I visited Hood College, Virginia Wesleyan, and Ferrum, and you know, again, not to get into all the details, but I ended up choosing Ferrum because I felt like it was the best place for me to win. Coach told me freshman year, you're not going to play because there's 2 senior point guards ahead of you. But sophomore year, from then on, it'll be your team. Go to Ferrum my freshman year, and one of the senior point guards doesn't come back to school. So I'm automatically put into the starting lineup. Into the backup point guard position. That I ended up doing really well in, you know, as far as running the team. And what I'll say, man, is I went from not playing at all as a junior to a backup point guard 2 years later, and actually thrived in that role.
Yeah.
I didn't all of a sudden get way better. I mean, I did improve, but I mentally was just in a better position, and I had learned things throughout the years and work that I had put in being a student of the game that prepared me for that point in my life. Sophomore year, I ended up starting half the season. We go on an 11-0 winning streak, best winning streak in school history. End up going 23-5. But even then, man, what ended up happening, this is where Brandon Walt really got on me. I put in crazy work that summer because I knew I was going to start, was ready, but my confidence was still Marshall as a junior in high school. So this is just a lesson, like, sometimes your talent needs to catch up to your confidence. And by that time, I wasn't ready. I didn't see myself as a starter yet because I was kind of happy to be here. Like, I'm in college playing, dog. Like, Marshall, you weren't even playing this much as a senior in high school. I get hurt my junior year, tear my ACL, one of the lowest points of my life. Didn't really play that well, man. I mean, not play that well, but play that much that year. And then going into my senior year, I played D3, man. There's no red shirt. You know, I got to play. So I got 6 months from the time I have surgery to the first practice to get ready. And the first game is against Elon University, which is where Austin was. So we go from playing together at 9 and 7, and then again in high school, to after everything that happened with our family, being able to play against each other, my first game back, man, was just, man, something we'll never forget. And just to make a long story short, of my senior year, had the best statistical year I had in my college career after an injury. You know, was top 5 in assists, top 5 in assist to turnover ratio, top 10 in 3-point percentage. You know, I kind of had some.
Don't forget
regret.
academic All-American.
I was academic.
Please don't forget that.
I was first basketball player in the school's history to be academic all-conference 4 straight years. Was on the National Association of Basketball Coaches Honors Court my senior year. So, you know, I had a great student athlete resume as far as like on and off the court, but I did not tap into my mental not toughness, but the ability to match my confidence and my talent until after college, which is why they're saying now, like, oh, he can still play pro. Well, it's because it took time for me to catch up, and you know, I don't have any regrets, man. But you know, you two, man, You guys have no idea how much you guys impacted me, because there are a lot of times where I did want to quit, but I couldn't let you guys down. I couldn't let him down, because I knew if I didn't get through it, he may not think he can make varsity. And the story is still going, man. And you know, apologize for getting emotional. I knew it was gonna happen, but it really hits home with me, man, because this story isn't just about us, you know, all being able to play. Like, we all impacted each other. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know how to even go off of that, man. Honestly, I think what's important for people to know and understand is, you know, in all those stories, man, there's been L's. And I don't mean a loss. I mean lessons.
Yep.
And you know, every one of you guys have took those lessons and, you know, learned from them, became better people, better basketball players, and that's why I was able to have the basketball career I had throughout, you know, growing up, high school, and college. And I'm not gonna bore you guys with my whole story, just for the sake of time too. But
you can Google them. That's
all
I gotta say.
Yeah.
Resume speaks for itself.
Yeah, but I would say probably the most the proudest moment of my career, and you touched on it, man, is breaking that curse. And if you it's tough.
Well, while you getting your thoughts together, let me just say this. You know, with, you know, all of our stories, and you know, this is probably the first time that we really had this like red table talk.
Intervention. Yeah,
We haven't talked to each other about this ever, I don't think.
No, I mean it's
Even
interesting.
I knew this was gonna happen too.
And for me, it's interesting, you know, to hear you guys, because, you know, I'll say this for me, like the one thing that I wish that I would say, if I had a regret, it would be not being there for you guys, or, you know, but I thank God for the time me and Brandon had at A&T, but it was time for Brandon to make sure that you guys were taken care of.
Well, you were there, man.
Yeah,
Now-
You were there
now,
in
so-
spirit. You just
right.
weren't physically in the area.
Right, I wasn't in the area, so I would talk to him on the phone after games, or like the next day. You know, I check the stats, or I had people, you know, hit me up and kind of vent to me about games. Like Nemo would call me, or Dad, or like some other guys would call me about their games when I was at A&T, and then when I was when I was at Grambling State in Louisiana, checking up on Brandon's games. You know, there is a part of me that I wish I could have been there more in certain areas, especially it's not so much from the basketball side, but more so from the mental side. You know, because we all are overcomers, and I'm.
Our family is, man.
It's not just us. It's our family, but I even take it a little step further, man. With Christ Fellowship Church, like the church that we grew up in, and so many people, man, that, you know, have instilled a lot of these values in us. To, you know, even when your confidence is wavering, that you have to rely on your faith. You know, for us, that faith is in Jesus Christ and in the Most High, and the fact that, you know, through everything that we went through, God always took care of us.
Right.
You know, we have infinite favor, man, with God. You know, this whole situation, the goods and how it started, you know, it's all based on, it's nothing but God. Like, the fact that we're all here still alive, it's nothing but God. There's been plenty of opportunities where, you know, our lives could have been taken away from us. And, you know, the lessons that you know, from what Marshall just said, is, you know, for those people that are listening, is, you know, no matter what you're going through, never doubt yourself. Because when you doubt yourself, you know, that's nothing but the enemy creeping in, man, and putting those thoughts that you can't do certain things. Now, what Marshall had that maybe some other people may not have, is a situation where you have individuals that you can piggyback on that won't let you quit, that won't let you fail, that won't, even when you're down yourself, will tell you to get out of that mindset. Some people don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I look at us, man, as accountability partners. I think we've shown that since time you guys were born. That, you know, you guys will always be my accountability partners, and I will always be you guys. You know, as long as I'm living. You know, and I love you guys, man. I'm thankful that you guys are able to share the stories. But, you know, again, for those that are listening, never doubt yourself. Never doubt yourself. Because you never know what type of impact that you can leave on other people who are doubting themselves, who lack faith, who get cut, who interview for coaching jobs and don't get it, who interview for that job and don't get it because they lack confidence in who they are and their abilities, even though they know. Again, like, your story is interesting, Marshall, because you said, like, you knew you had the talent, but you couldn't put it together.
I couldn't put my finger on it, man. Like, I would pray for confidence. I just couldn't put my finger on it. And what I realized, honestly, man, is you cannot rely on someone else to give you confidence. Your confidence cannot come from external sources. And in my whole life, I needed to hear from you guys, parents, coaches. I needed permission to be great. And that's not the case anymore. But I do want to let Austin talk.
Again, apologies for getting choked up, man. But really what I was going to say, you know, throughout everyone's journey and all the literally scars and the lessons that have come about, we can proudly say that Hamilton name is on the wall forever at Herndon High School.
That's a fact.
And again, that's not when people say, like, oh, your name's on the wall or it's retired or whatever. Nah, that's the Hamilton name. That's not Austin Hamilton. That's the Hamilton name.
I get every time I see it, I get emotional.
So, you know, it started with Walt. Yeah. He went through his troubles. Brandon, Marshall. So that's why, like, that means so much to me, to have, you know, that story, man, of the Hamiltons battling through and not getting the respect and, you know, playing time that they deserved. So for that, I mean, it's special, man. And, you know, we're going to continue to get our names on walls in other fields.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
And, you know, we've talked about this, but, I mean, who knows, man? I still might play again, you know?
Got it.
I've talked about it because I still feel like I still have some ball left, but, you know, we'll see where God leads me. But, yeah, man, this was powerful.
Man, the only thing I'll say, man, we probably got to wrap up soon, but I told him this. I don't know if I told you guys this, but when he won the district championship, I mean, I was balling because I remember my mom called and they were down like 13 in the second half.
Yeah.
No, we're down like 20.
Yeah,
19, I think.
Yeah, I was almost 20.
There's no live stream at this point. It's like 2011, and I'm at my like dorm room desk, like just on edge, man. And when she called me and said they won, just broke down because it was, for me, it was literally, I just said we finally won. That's what came out, and I don't want to get emotional again, man. But it's too late. But
too late.
Yeah. So
yeah, man. That moment, the wall was cool, but that for me, that was a moment, man, where it was like one of us finally did it, man. Well, like he could have got all the other accolades, but when he won, you did. Yeah. But
humble brag.
If he got all that, I still would have been proud of him.
But the thing with the ring.
Yeah, right. But when he got that ring, man, that's what did it for me. So
Yeah. Just
Anything else? Yeah, we gotta wrap up soon. But
one thing I'll say is, you know, for people that are listening and watching, you see a lot of, you know, pain and just tears shed and just,
laughter.
you know, laughter, every emotion you can think of. I think the premise behind what we built with the goods is all wrapped up into that.
Yep.
And so, you know, the people that we hope to inspire with our company and people we want to train and develop as just good citizens on and off the basketball court, it's a culmination of all the stuff we went through and just instilling that into the next basketball player that, you know, we meet on the basketball courts. I think that's why you see so much emotion, because we're able to share our story, but at the same time it brings us joy because now we can take all this greatness and knowledge and just all the stuff we've learned throughout our years and instill it to others, and I think that's what brings us greater joy in the end.
Yeah, man.
Well, anything you want to close with?
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, with what you guys have all said, you know, when it comes to the goods, you know, it's, end of the day, trust your process. You know, like Marshall said, you know, you don't need permission to be great. It's already within
It's
you.
already in you.
Stamp yourself, man.
All right.
Stamp
You know,
yourself.
and that's kind of the thing, you know, with that we want to do, you know, is we want to help you understand that you don't need permission in order to show who you are, to be who you are. Now, with that being said, there's going to be some low points. It's going to be some adverse situations, but just understand that you're an overcomer, you know, and you are the goods. You know, you represent the lineage of whatever your family has ever gone through. Everybody has a family. Every family has a story. All right, you're just writing another chapter in that book, in your personal story and in your family story. So, you know, just understand that through everything, everybody has their own process. Just trust your process. Put in the work, clock in, and let's see what comes over.
Yeah, it's powerful, man. Last thing I'll say, just to wrap up, did you have something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, big shout out to Eric, man, who's here. Eric's as you guys know, is a long term brother. I'm not even calling him a family friend, and you know, he grew up, especially with you two, since you guys were young, man.
He saw it all.
I saw those games too, bro.
And you know, his family has been a blessing to our family since the beginning. And you know, just want to say we appreciate you, E, always, man.
Shout out Uncle Al, on Barb,
Yeah, man.
Courtney.
The whole Jackson crew, man. But
Love y'all too, man.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you never know who's watching, man, and it's bigger than you. You know, you quitting or you persevering is not about you. It wasn't about me. It was, you know, there is someone who needs to hear this story eventually. I don't know how it's gonna play out, but I need to persevere so that I can inspire someone else, which is again what this is all about. And it's a blessing, man, to be doing this with y'all. It's been a long time coming. And it's just the beginning, man, literally, just the beginning. And I know that our main goal is impact. It's not about profit, but I'll take the money too. You got Federico me off.
Federico, baby.
Federico!
Yes, sir. Hey, episode 10, man. Again, we love y'all. It was a pleasure.
Love y'all, man.
Appreciate you.
The
for having
good,
us, man.
the good,
Seriously.
baby.
We
Yes,
out
sir,
here,
we
baby.
coming.
Let's get it.
Peace.
Yeah. We put in work and here's the proof. What you want?
I'm making moves, punching in.
I'm on it too.
I'm in the gym.
I'm in the stew.
It's hunting season.
Where's the food?
We push each other daily, level up.
Cause that's what brothers do.
Clock in.